5 hacks. This is basically what we are going to be talking about. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see we are showing a brain that is about to explode, or it's actually exploded, and using all the energy and everything, kind of like a supernova, some star explosion. But basically, that's what happens when you get a stroke, right? So we're going to be talking about the top 5 hacks to prevent stroke. Top 5 hacks to prevent a stroke. And we're going to start off by even talking about what is a stroke in the first place. We're talking about brain stroke for that matter. What is a brain stroke? You want to start?
Yeah, so if we look at the brain on our screen, you can see that the brain is being attacked. So you can see the explosion and all the energy coming out of the brain. Mm-hmm. So basically, stroke is when the arteries in the brain are blocked or when they are ruptured. Mm-hmm. So when the arteries in the brain are blocked, there is no movement of blood flow into the cells, and the cells in the brain get damaged. And when they get damaged, it's considered as stroke.
They die, right? When they get damaged, they die.
They die because they are not getting the nutrients and they are not getting the oxygen to function.
No, man, the oxygen. Everybody needs air to breathe, right? You can't hold your breath for a minute. You want your brain to hold your breath without getting oxygenated blood. You can't do that. All right, keep going.
Yeah, so there are 2 types of stroke. Mm-hmm. We have the ischemic and the hemorrhagic stroke. Mm. So when the arteries are blocked, that is when we have the ischemic stroke, meaning that blood flow is inhibited. Mm-hmm. Blood is not able to flow smoothly. Then that can cause the cells to die, and that will lead to ischemic stroke. And the second one is the hemorrhagic stroke, meaning that the vessels, the arteries in the brain ruptured. And when they ruptured, the blood leaked into the brain cells. And when the blood leaked into the brain cells, it causes the cells to die, and that leads to hemorrhagic stroke.
All right. So basically, if I understood you right, to put things together, so ischemic stroke is when your brain cells have been blocked from receiving oxygenated blood or from receiving blood rich in oxygen, and so they die, causing stroke, right? And then hemorrhagic stroke is when there's a rupture of the artery or the tiny blood vessels that is going to supply the blood to the brain in the first place. And when that rupture happens, you said the blood that oozes into the brain causes what? Pressure?
The pressure that is coming from the blood leaked on the cells causes the cells to die. And when they died, that will lead to hemorrhagic.
When they die, that leads to a hemorrhagic stroke. So yes, we're going to be talking, now that you know what a stroke is, this is an abbreviated version of what a description of a stroke is. Now that you know what a stroke is, our whole point of being on live today is to help you prevent getting a stroke. And, in the past, strokes only happened to older folks, somebody in the 60s, 70, 80. But today we are seeing young people who are coming and, in wheelchairs, and some of them bedridden. If you go to some rehabilitation hospitals, you can see a lot of young people actually falling victims to strokes. Mm-hmm. And that is because they did not employ some of the 5 hacks that we are going to teach you today. So we're going to be showing you some of the quick 5 strategies that you can employ and protect yourself from getting a stroke in the first place. And hopefully you can prevent it even when you are older, so that it won't be like, oh, I'm old now, so I can allow things to happen. No matter your age, you can get a stroke. But if you get these hacks on the way, you are going to be safer than before. That being said, there ain't any magic bullet for preventing diseases from happening. That's a disclaimer right here. Mm-hmm. You may still be able to do these things, but still get a stroke because some other factors may be involved that we do not know. And so we want to make sure that at least you do these. If you do them, I can promise you that your chances of getting a stroke are going to be reduced, severely reduced. But if you don't do them, you are going to have an increased risk of getting a stroke. But if you do them and you get a stroke, don't say that I did all the 5 hacks and I still got a stroke. Come on, man. Because, by the way, people must still go to heaven. You still have to go to heaven at some point, right? So no matter what we teach you, something may happen at some point in time when your time is up. But if your time is not up, you have to hang around for a long time and live a better life. That's what we basically want to do, because some people are here, but they are regretting being here because of the fact that they are bedridden, they cannot walk, they cannot take care of themselves because of a severe stroke. And some people couldn't even make it just because of a stroke. Their time wasn't up, but a massive stroke took them out, and we don't want that to happen. So I hope you can stick with us as we go through these top 5 hacks to prevent a stroke or a brain attack from happening in the first place. All right.
Yeah, so you were talking about some people being bedridden, right? So some of the symptoms can also show in people's speech, So if you get stroke, the way your speech may be affected, you can't really express yourself very well. And some people have one side of their body. We're talking about when it hit the right, the left side of your body is affected. It's paralyzed. You can function as well. So it's not.
You mean you can't function?
You cannot function as well because of the stroke. Because it's not something light. We can say that it's not something that we should take lightly at all, because it can affect your quality of life.
That's the key, the quality of life.
Yeah, we tend to be dependent on people. So if you really pay attention to the things that we are going to share with you, you are not going to be a burden to your family and to your loved ones.
That's what's up. That's what's up. We don't want anybody to become a burden to their wives or to their husbands. Sometimes it's the husbands that become burden, but it happens the other way too sometimes.
Yeah.
So we want you to stick around and be healthy. And so follow us and let's do this together.
And we also have some good wives around. When it happens, they stick around.
Today you are not giving me the chance. All right. I hear you. All right. So good wives around, sticking around, but they don't want to do it though. So let's make sure we take care of ourselves in order to prevent that from happening in the first place. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to our show outline. And as you can tell, we are again going to employ some 5 hacks to prevent stroke or brain attack. And we are condensing these. In fact, it's more than 5, but we're going to start off with lowering blood pressure as a means, as well as controlling diabetes.
And also lowering your cholesterol and also maintaining a healthy weight.
And then from that, we're going to be talking about regular diet and exercise, And then from there, we will do potentially limiting alcohol and quitting smoke. We wanted to say limiting alcohol and limiting smoke, but Gifty said you can't limit smoking. You got to quit it altogether. All right. So we're going to be doing this in that order. And so we will start off right off the bat with lowering blood pressure as a means of protecting yourself from getting stroke. Honey, we just did a whole season of blood pressure, about 12 episodes of how to take care of your blood pressure and what blood pressure entails. And come to think about it, we're talking about stroke and blood pressure has shown up again. It means that if you followed our show, if you've been part of our channel, you are actually on your way to doing real good because you're going to take care of your blood pressure. One of the things that the benefit would do is to lower your risk of getting a stroke. And anybody who sticks to their goal of lowering their blood pressure, which is usually from 120 over 80, most of the time, this is what we shoot for. But again, depending on how high your pressure was from the beginning, your provider may put you as a goal of 140 over 90, and that would be good. If you were starting from 180 or 160 and you can achieve that, that's still good. So if you are not there at this 120 over 80 yet, it's okay. Now, this is a textbook number which is hard to attain, but whatever you are doing, it's going to lower your risk of having a stroke if you have high blood pressure.
Yes, so if we can link having high blood pressure to having a stroke, we can explain it this way that if your blood pressure is high, it means that it's going to, like when it's, the pressure is moving through your brain, it can cause a plaque to be breaking off, and it can push the plaque into the arteries in your brain, and that can lead to ischemic stroke
Because it's going to block the blood from flowing.
flowing.
Yes.
Yes, so high blood pressure is not healthy at all. So we are trying to lower it. Or in other words, if it's too high, it can cause the cells or the arteries, right,
The
in the
vessels, yeah.
brain to be ruptured. And when they are ruptured, it causes the blood to leak into the brain.
It's a bleeding stroke.
Yeah, and it kills the cells, and that can lead to stroke. So maintaining or monitoring or trying to maintain the level, good blood pressure level, is very important. It's not just because you just want to do it. It's because if you don't control the blood pressure, it can lead to something more detrimental, which is stroke.
My goodness. So Gifty has really provided you the reason. I just started off saying that lower it, lower it, lower it. But now the reason is what makes more sense now. So you know that we are not just telling you to keep a low blood pressure for keeping low blood pressure sake. But the point is if your pressure is higher, it may break off a plaque, leading to a clot, or even the plaque itself moving downstream to your brain, where the vessels are very tiny. And because they are very tiny, a small plaque or a small clot that goes in there will block the flow of blood to your brain cells, leading to a massive stroke. So when we hear massive stroke and it is ischemic stroke, this is all that happened. Some clot got there and blocked the blood flow in the brain. Brain attack. Or, like she said, if your pressure is so high, then chances are that you're going to burst open those little tiny vessels in your brain, because the pressure is high and the vessels are very tiny, very thin walled, and a small push, beyond what they can withstand, it's just going to lead to rupture. And that is called the hemorrhagic stroke. So, blood pressure control is key in preventing strokes. So that's your first hack. If you want to prevent strokes from happening, if you want to live a stroke-free life, make sure your blood pressure is on point. Come on, man. Make sure your blood pressure is on point. We can't say it any better than that. So that's the first hack for you to prevent stroke. Whether you are young or old, you got to make sure that your blood pressure is under control. Because if it's not, then we are going to have a problem. We're going to have a problem. And some of the cheap things just as a reminder, the things we can do to reduce your blood pressure is making sure that your sodium levels, or you take low sodium. Every food you eat, make sure that you are reading the labels. Don't just eat anything because you're hungry. Come on, man. It is actually better to stay hungry, than to eat junk. If you're hungry and there's no good food around, you are healthier to go hungry than to eat junk and fill up. Because I'm hungry, I gotta eat. No, you don't gotta eat. You only gotta eat the right stuff. So if the right stuff is not there, just keep being hungry. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a cheat. Drink some water. Come on, man. Drink some water and take down your sodium. Because let's be practical here. We got people buying bags of chips. They don't read the back of the chip, and see how much sodium is in there. It's all sodium, and it's as a matter of fact, saturated fat too. Sodium, salt, 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 salt. And then apart from that, you want a quick grab and eat, something. You're hungry. You drive through the fast food joint and you grab it. You think it's tasty. Well, find out how much sodium is in there. No wonder your pressure is always high. But if you were very intentional about the choices of food, you are going to cut down a lot on the sodium, because as we explicitly said in our previous shows on blood pressure, we said that if you keep a lot of sodium, you have to keep a lot of water to balance it out. And the more water you keep, the more your blood volume. And if your blood volume is increased, your heart has to pump harder, and your pressure is high. Simple as that. So cut down that sodium. Some people, people with hypertension, some of you who are watching, remember when you had your first diagnosis, the doctor told you cut back on salt. If your doctor didn't tell you, they ain't good enough. Come on, man. Cut back on your salt. So that's a second hack, that if you want to prevent stroke from happening, lower your blood pressure. You want to come in with the other?
Yeah, and I think the last episode that we had about blood pressure, in order to lower it, you have to be physically active.
Physically active.
You have to be active. But being active will help lower your blood pressure. I think we've talked enough about exercise and being active. So just getting up in the morning and doing an activity physically will help lower your blood pressure. And also you have to remember, if you've been diagnosed with blood pressure, it's not just because the doctor wants you to do something with your blood pressure. He really wants to prevent stroke from happening.
I like that. Come on, man. So it's not just, you have high blood pressure, but what you're actually trying to do is to prevent you from having a stroke.
Stroke, right.
Oh, come on, man. That's good.
Yeah. So it's not just because, they're worried about your blood. They want to prevent you from getting to that point that you get paralyzed. You can't function, you can't move around, you don't have the quality of life that we're talking about. So having blood pressure and your doctor going ahead to give you medication means that it's your responsibility to take your medication as directed.
My goodness. But some people, they fill the prescriptions, but they don't take it. They don't take it.
They don't take it.
They always forget. The sad thing is they don't forget about the other important stuff, except the one that will keep them alive,
Yeah, so filling it or going to your annuals, like we are encouraging each other to go visit the doctor. You go and you are diagnosed with blood pressure. You don't push it at the back corner and do your own thing. It means that it's high, and staying high can cause you to have stroke. So in order to control it, you need to take your medication as directed. So if there is something that you have to do to make you remember, you take your medication every time you have your supper. So you have linked it with an activity for the day, that whenever I eat my dinner, I take my blood pressure. You see the importance of eating, at the same time see the importance of monitoring or controlling your blood pressure. So you do it hand in hand, it helps you control your blood pressure.
All right. So that is for blood pressure control. Take it, make your medications readily available with your dinner. Or if it is morning that you take it, which some people take it in the morning, especially the water pills, with your breakfast, so that you won't tend to forget as much. Because, like she said, the whole point is to prevent you from getting a stroke or a brain attack. So that's a hack we're giving you. You hear somebody had a stroke, it's nothing serious. It's serious business that happened. Whether they had, they had higher uncontrolled blood pressure and other things that we're going to get into in a minute. So that's that for blood pressure. Is there anything else?
I think we can.
All right. So we said that take your medications, exercise, eat well, and all those things.
And also monitor the levels.
And also check your blood pressure. We have a video on us last season about doing that right, checking your blood pressure well. So if you don't, know how to check your blood pressure after the live, go back to our channel. As a matter of fact, to this particular playlist called the podcast on our channel, and look for that and binge on that too. We show you how to check your blood pressure and ensure that you're doing it right. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go to the next thing. We mentioned physical activity already, right? All right. So the next thing that we want to do, the next hack, is to control your blood sugars or control diabetes. Oh, come on, man. That's another huge one. That's the next hack for you to prevent strokes or brain attack from happening, whether you are young or old. And I'll start. So, when you say control diabetes, you may say, oh, but I don't have diabetes. You may not have diabetes at the moment, but the way you are living your life, you may have hyperglycemia. Your blood sugars have been trending up. As a matter of fact, your doctor may have told you that you are pre-diabetic, or the way you are eating, the way your stuff is turning, your numbers are turning, trending. You probably may have diabetes in the future. Or if nothing like that has happened, but you have a family history, consider yourself a potential candidate for diabetes. So don't count yourself out and say, I don't have that sugar problem, so this doesn't apply. It applies. Come on, man. It applies. No matter how old or young you are, or whether or not you have been diagnosed with diabetes already. What we want to say is that begin to watch your blood sugar levels. If you are diabetic, make sure that you are on point with your care. Make sure you are controlling your blood sugars. Make sure you don't leave it to chance. Make sure you are making sure you're doing all the things that doctors want and more. Because sometimes there's only so much they can teach you, but there are abundance of information out there that will help you. And so be more proactive in helping yourself control and manage your blood sugar levels. If you are not diabetic, and you also want to make sure you don't get diabetes in the future, the same thing applies. Because once you become diabetic, your chance or your risk for getting a stroke has increased. I mean, it increases whether you like it or not. Not here to scare anybody, but that's the point. It's a fact. And let's explain why. And you want me to do that?
Yeah, why?
Yeah. So the reason is that uh, when your sugars are high, when your sugar levels are very high, sugar in the blood or high blood sugar is known to affect the lining of your blood vessels. Anybody with a high amount of sugar, what happens with them is that their endothelium become compromised and they begin to form plaques more quickly, or what we call atherosclerosis. They begin to develop more plaques because the sugar becomes injurious, if that's a word. The sugar becomes something that makes them, it basically makes their arteries prone to getting plaques. And remember when we explained how plaques can actually become a point for a stroke? When the plaque breaks off, that is where stroke happens, right? This plaque breaks off and a clot is formed and it launches into your brain or even into your heart, your coronary arteries, and you get a heart attack also. So if you have higher sugars and you do not manage them, you are constantly increasing your chance of developing these atherosclerotic plaques or these yellow plaques that we talk about. And when they are increased, then of course, correspondingly, your risk for stroke also goes up. And that is why it is important that you manage your blood sugar levels. If you have been diagnosed with diabetes, if you have not been diagnosed, also make sure that you don't get there by eating right and doing all the good stuff that we've been teaching you on this channel. Anything that you can do, avoiding these things that are shown on our screen, the presentation is so good. Look at how they arrange them in a seemingly nice petri dish, if I should say.
Petri dish?
Right? Come on, look at those colorful, candies in a petri dish, and those nice cookies. Wherever you may find them, in the stores, in the grocery shops, everywhere you find them. But you got to be conscious of the fact that, hey, I'm growing up. I'm in my 30s. I'm in my 40s. I'm in my 50s. I cannot eat like I'm a 6-year-old eating candies all the time. I've seen people actually buying my diabetes medications, and while they are paying for the prescriptions, they are also paying for Coca-Cola, sodas. Oh, come on, man. Sometimes I want to smack them. I want to smack them, But who am I to tell you what to do? But if you are here on this channel and you do that, I'll smack you. I'll smack your hand. It's all fun, but seriously, we got to be more intentional about making sure we don't get diabetes if you don't already have it, and making sure that our sugar levels are good if you already have diabetes. We can't just be cheating every day. You know that you don't have to eat this food. It's like, oh, as for me, I really liked it before I got diagnosed, so I'm still going to eat it, but I won't eat as much. And it's creeping up your sugars all the time, it doesn't work. You got to stop it because you are, with years, as the years go by, you are developing atherosclerotic plaques, which intentionally are going to lead you to be more prone to to strokes because of the potential for clot formation. And so that's what I would say. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
Yeah, so I think you've explained the way it affects stroke, all right. But how do you, like, why are we saying diabetes? So if you are diabetic, you've been diagnosed with diabetes and you are checking the levels. It's not just because sometimes the numbers are high, sometimes the numbers are low, and the doctors are bothering you. It's something that you have to take it very serious. When you realize that the numbers are consistently or almost every time on the higher side. You do your 3 months checkup, the
A1C.
A1C, the A1C is always on the higher side. Continuously, that is leading you to this potential zone, the fatal zone that it may lead you to in getting stroke. So the little things that you can do to bring it under control is very important. Some people are diabetic, and I don't know because they have a whole session for people with diabetes that we teach them the diets and what to eat, and some people just ignore everything and they keep throwing in that life is too short, everybody is going to die. You may not die, you may get stroke, and that can affect the way of your life, like the way you live. So the little things that you can do, increasing the greens in your diet, watching the amount of carbohydrates that you consume, and sometimes some cultures, a lot of sugar in our diet. Just being intentional and being informed and making all the right choices is very important. So that's a very good hack. If you've been diagnosed, you have to be particularly careful and make sure that your numbers are always, most of the time, like on point, so that you don't get yourself in that situation.
My goodness, that's what's up. You got to make sure that your numbers are on point if you have been diagnosed already. And if you have not, just watch it that you don't get diabetes in the first place. Now, while we're thinking about this, I just remembered something that happened. We're talking about stroke in my own family. My father had suffered TIA, which wasn't a full blown stroke anyway. So he still was able to get his daily functions going. He was able to walk by himself. He was able to do a lot of the self-care by himself until the later time in his life. But one thing that happened, I think Dr. Nati even mentioned it, is the little minute strokes that happen. That leads to forgetfulness. At some point, he couldn't remember stuff, even though he was able to walk around. So this is what we were talking about, the quality of life. Oh, let me do anything I want. After all, what? When we were poor, we couldn't get food. Now that we can make, you say don't eat. Yeah, when we were poor, we couldn't eat. Now we made enough money to eat, and you say don't eat this, don't eat that. Would you want to eat those things and end up forgetting everything about your life? What would be the fun if you can't even recognize your own grandkids because of many strokes that has happened over the years. So stroke is a big thing, and I hope that we can convince you to take charge of your blood sugars, and we have also talked about your blood pressure. That was first two, right? Did we mention anything else? All right, so that we cannot wait any longer until we have done all those things. Now, in the interest of time, we're going to go to our next point. We say we are giving you five hacks, but I think this is taking a lot of time because it's deep. The next one is the next hack to lower your risk for getting a stroke is to lower your cholesterol. Come on, man, that's another huge one. Lower your blood cholesterol. Lower your blood cholesterol. And cholesterol, like in diabetes, if you have excess cholesterol hanging in your blood, eventually they will find their way into your vessels, into the inner vessels, as we can see on on my screen right here, those who are watching on YouTube. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, make sure after here you go to our channel on YouTube and subscribe so that you can see all these images too. You can see these plaques that have been formed because of excess cholesterol in the blood. They have to find a place to deposit. And excess cholesterol comes from the way we eat. The way we eat, of course, again, if you have been part of this channel for a while, you know we treated this at length. Some people have genes to make excess cholesterol. They naturally make more cholesterol than they need. So with them, they can also have these plaques forming, even if they don't eat enough cholesterol. But for the rest of us who don't have the genes to make excess cholesterol, most of the cholesterol that is deposited is from our diet, because our own bodies will make all that we need. They don't usually make excess unless it's a genetic abnormality. And so if you have cholesterol hanging around too much, I can blame you for that. Come on, man. It is from your diet. For the
Or your
most part.
parents?
Or no, that would be the genetic too, right? But I'm talking about
Or
people.
your mother
Everybody
who cook for you?
You mean if somebody cooking for you? Oh, then it could be from your parents too. It could be from your husband who cooks for you, like I cook,
And
right?
your wife, yeah.
Or your wife. You know, I was going to say your wife, so you're ready to say your husband. Anyway, and all from the fast food joint. Oh, come on, man, who is making your cooked meals? The Whoppers and the burgers that are juicy on the grill, all those saturated fats, all those are excess cholesterol that you don't need, and you are plucking up your vessels. And remember, vessels, we show in this picture, this is a huge vessel, or potentially enlarged, for viewing purposes. But if we look at the vessels which are on your heart, the coronary arteries, or the vessels even in your brain, very tiny. And so a little bit of plaque formation is just going to stop blood from flowing there. And if blood flow is restricted in the brain, again, like the ischemic stroke we described, you get ischemia. Some people, they don't get a full-blown stroke. It's like TIAs. Once in a while, they black out. And then they go and then they are fine. You're like, no, there's potentially blood flow problems in your brain because of excess cholesterol. Some people have developed so much cholesterol in their carotids that it is hard to get even blood into their brain in the first place because the whole pipe is blocked. The whole pipe is blocked. And so what you can do in this case is make sure that your diet is on point. I'm going to have you come in and then maybe I'll come back later.
Yes, so the foods, the meat that has that saturated fat.
The red meat, right?
The red meat. The juicy part.
Juicy meat.
Is something that you have to watch out for. You have to try and cut down on saturated fats, because if that build up in the arteries, it blocks the flow of blood and oxygen into the cells, and that can lead to stroke. So in order to prevent that, you have to make sure that you consume low saturated foods. So instead of the red meat, we are going to go for the fish, and we are going to go for the lean proteins, something that wouldn't get us increasing our cholesterol level. The HDL, the high density lipoproteins, you want to make sure that they don't creep up on you, or the high one.
High is what you want.
High is what you want, but the low density is the one that you want to control. So definitely you want to try and stay away from foods that will increase the level of your cholesterol.
Definitely. And then another thing you could do to control your blood cholesterol levels is to increase fiber in your food intake. Yeah. If you have diet that is rich in fiber, you are obviously going to get less cholesterol absorbed into your blood and potentially protect yourself from a stroke. And then, of course, you have to take your medications if you have been prescribed cholesterol medicine. Some people take 1, 2, 3. And they're like, oh, I had some muscle pain, so I stopped. I've had patients who say that, oh, I stopped it. I had a side effect, so I didn't take it. I'm like, did you talk to your doctor about it? And they look at me like, it's my body. It doesn't work for me. I stopped. Come on, man. Yeah, it's your body, but you're going to take it to a stroke level if you don't do what has to be done. So definitely consult your doctor if you have problems with taking any cholesterol medications. If you are on a cholesterol medication, and don't be somebody who says that I don't believe in medicine, I'm just going to eat right and make sure. If eating right can fix it, praise God, we want you to do
Right.
that. But sometimes it is too high that eating right wouldn't fix anything. And I think we're going to have a show with one of our family members who cheated cholesterol hikes when cholesterol was going up. And with a little bit of medication and diet changes, he got it down. So if Jerry is watching, we are coming down at some point on our show. We'll interview him. And so definitely to prevent strokes from happening, you got to watch your cholesterol intake. And sometimes you won't know if it is good or bad until you see your doctor. So that's also important. Make sure you are checking it all the time, every year at least one time.
Once a year. Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I think we've also mentioned that exercise can also increase the HDL,
Yes.
the good cholesterol. So that's something that you can look into, that it helping with your blood pressure. It's also helping manage your diabetes, and it's also helping bring down your bad cholesterol and increasing the good
Good
cholesterol.
cholesterol. All right. With that being said, we can move on now, right? All right. So the next one, the next cheat or the next hack is to get healthy weight. Come on, man. That's a good one. Healthy weight. I mean, these ladies who are dancing on the screen, I don't know whether they're excited because they are overweight or they're excited because they are ready to kick out all those heavy pounds on their
Yeah,
back.
they're being physically active.
Oh, this is being physically active.
Yeah.
Oh, well. And eating popcorn
Yeah,
on
instead
top.
of lying down,
And
they're doing something.
well, yeah, I'll take that. But instead of the popcorn, they could have done some almonds.
There is no salt in the popcorn though,
Did they tell you that?
because I can
You
see
asked them.
that. Yep,
There's no butter
there's
in
no
it.
butter.
You sure?
Mm-mm.
No, I don't agree. There's got to be butter. If there's no salt and there's no butter, then what's the point of eating the popcorn? It wouldn't be tasty. So I think that they are cheating. They got butter in there. All right, but I like the way they are dancing. They're excited, right? Anyway, so the fun aside, what we're trying to say is that in order to prevent yourself from getting a stroke or brain attack, you got to make sure that you keep on a healthy weight. It is a known fact that if you are overweight, especially if you become morbidly obese, you stand a chance of getting a stroke. Just by being bigger, puts you at a risk path, at a risky path for getting a brain stroke. And so, if you can do something about the weight, so much better. And we don't talk as if we don't know how hard it is to put off the weight. We know because we struggle ourselves to lose weight. It's not easy, but it will not be complete if we do not mention it. It is important that you try to make sure that you shed some pounds. And there are certain little cheats that you could do to make sure that you get your weight down. When it comes to your diet, for example, when it comes to being active, which we have mentioned already, being conscious about the things you are eating more of the fiber and whole grain and stuff rather than the processed meat and processed foods, you are definitely going to make sure you shed some pounds, and that would prevent you from getting a stroke. You want to add anything?
Yeah, I think you covered it all.
Right.
So, like we mentioned, that if you are overweight, it's likely that your blood pressure is high. It's likely that heart disease may be going on. It may be that you are prone of being diabetic.
You're prone to be diabetic, yeah.
To be diabetic, and also maybe your diet is not as balanced as expected, and maybe you are not that active. So if you see that you've started increasing or gaining weight, there are certain things you have to be conscious of. If you want to prevent yourself from getting stroke, you have to make sure that you work on yourself, the kinds of foods that you eat, certain things that you can do differently. Now that you are aging, we know that your metabolism is reduced. The things that you used to eat as a younger person, you may not get away with as you age. So there are certain changes that you have to consciously make in order to maintain a healthy weight.
There's definitely the things that you used to eat. Some kids can eat pizza back to back to back and they don't get big a minute. And yet, as soon as they hit puberty, one slice is bloating them up. So, as you age, things work different. So, if you like some kind of food when you were a kid and you are getting bigger and bigger as an adult, potentially review that diet. It's probably the one that is causing it. The fact that you had it as a child doesn't mean you should keep doing it all the time, especially knowing that it's going against you. And so that is what we need to say about that. And if you lose a little weight, your blood pressure will go down naturally.
Yeah.
And then your heart, risk for heart diseases also go down. And then the risk for diabetes also go down. I think you mentioned that too. And so definitely it's important that we lose that few pounds that we can. The next one, the next hack is to have a balanced diet. Now we're talking about, eating good and all that. But what is really eating good? Without wasting too much time, we just want to hit on a few things that you can include in your diet that will make sure that you do not get prone to getting a stroke. And the first one that is huge that we will mention is to avoid processed foods. To avoid processed foods. So if you want a balanced diet, your food should not include processing. Any food that you eat, whether it's the protein part or whether it's a carb part, whether it is veggies, whether it is the fruit, whatever it is you are eating, the fat, it should not be something coming from processed. So you can say that, oh, I have my greens, but if your green was canned before you open the can and you ate it, it's processed. So it canceled out the benefit. Oh, I had protein, but your protein was, processed. Hot dog is a processed meat, so it defeats the purpose. Oh, I had carbs. I had only a little bit of carbs, but you had to take it out from something that has been processed. Mashed potato that is sold in the store, juiced up with a lot of butter that you don't need, processed. So as soon as processing hits it, even though it may be, potentially something that could be called good, because processing affects it, it defeats the purpose of including it in your balance in your diet. So balanced diet for me, it's important, but the source of the balanced diet is as important as the component or whatever it is that you're using. I mean, we are showing avocado on the screen, but if you buy me a can of processed avocado, you got to take it back because it's no longer represents the avocado that I know. Yeah, it is no more natural. It's been processed, and when somebody touches it, they've added the sodium that you don't want because they got to keep it on the shelf for a while, right? And if you can't keep it on the shelf, you are going to lose. So they will have to put something in there to preserve it, and that destroys the natural, advantage of eating something like an avocado. So processing is out.
Yeah, and also apart from added salt, right? Sodium that will increase your blood pressure. The processed foods, they also take out the fiber
You take out the
and
fiber.
some of the good nutrients out. So you don't get the whole benefits of the food that you are eating. And the additives, apart from the sodium, they add other preservatives, other things to keep it stay on the shelf longer, and that can affect your system. So I think we've mentioned that you go for the real thing, the natural thing at its natural state. So with the greens, there is no way you are going to go wrong with the greens because they are at their natural state. And with the grains, we encourage each and every one of us to go with a whole grain. Yeah, taking the fiber out, make it processed. So I think we were talking about rice, right? The white rice is being processed because they've taken the fiber out.
It's polished.
It's polished.
Clean rice.
Yeah, so
perfumed.
It get into your system and it get absorbed and the sugar spikes. So you go with the whole grains so that will help managing your diet, and definitely that will prevent you from getting stroke.
My goodness, that's what's up. That's what's up. That's definitely what we want to hit here. So the greens, the lean proteins, the legumes, those things can replace all those fatty meats and stuff that is usually there. Before we go to the next one, I think somebody shared something, right? Let's see. Oh, Rosemary. Let's see if I can move my mouse on there.
Mouse is over
Okay,
there.
my mouse is stuck there. It's coming here. And that's Rosemary Ortiz on the live. All right. It's been a while. You were very active, but we have not been seeing you. Thanks for showing up and saying yes. I don't know which one you said yes to, but I'm pretty sure it is the processing and the balanced diet. So thanks for watching. And if you are watching and at this point you have not given us a thumbs up, I've seen 3 thumbs up. I don't know what the rest are doing, but if you are watching either now or you watch later after we are done, make sure you hit us with the thumbs up and the share and the like and the follow from from TikTok, the follow from Facebook, and the follow and the subscribe from YouTube. Let's roll together. All right, so
And with a balanced diet, sometimes too, we just stick to one kind of food. And because that's what we are used to, we stick with it. There is no balance, we stick to one way of eating, and that's all. That we try something, we like it, we stick with it, and we don't try anything. So sometimes we have to be like free a little bit and try new stuff, especially if we know the sauce is good. With the greens, I used to be stuck with one kinds of greens. So I started trying other greens, and I realized that there is more greens to pick from, so that you don't get bored with one. So it's good that you try something, you like it, you stick with it. But widen the spectrum, get more things in there and try and experiment other things. And we can push aside the way that we've been eating and we are used to it for a little bit and try new things, things that is more nutritious and that's more beneficial. Sometimes we may not even like it, right? But because of the benefits, we will try it and add it on to what we are doing, so that it help us balance our diet and eat right.
definitely, 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 definitely. That's what is up. My goodness. So try new things. Try new things. I don't know about you, but we got to try new things. There's a bunch. Somebody may have lettuce. And they're like, I don't like lettuce, and they stop eating greens. But did you know there's cabbage? Do you know there's baby spinach? And what are the other ones? I'm not.
Broccoli.
There's broccoli. And
Celery.
there's celery. There's a lot
A lot
of
of
greens.
greens.
So the fact that you don't like one doesn't mean you shouldn't eat anymore. You got to keep trying until you find your choice, like she said. And I mean, experiment with the natural foods.
Yes.
That way, you can have more room to change around and make things work. Right. So let's move on to the next one. I think is exercise. Right. Next one is exercise. Oh, come on, man. So this we have mentioned exercise in helping you achieve some of the things that we have said are going to help you to prevent stroke from happening. But then exercise gets its own spot because of how beneficial it is. It cuts across most of the things that we probably haven't even mentioned. But we talk about cholesterol. Exercise will make your cholesterol levels, especially your bad cholesterol levels, go down. You talk about blood sugar. Exercise will make your blood sugar levels go down. We talk about hypertension. Exercise will make your blood hypertension also go down. And so, exercise by itself is a big cheat to prevent, or big hack to prevent stroke from happening. No matter your age, whether or not you are young, you definitely are going to have that particular blessing if you employ exercise. And we're going to tell you just a little bit about the things you can do to ensure that you get regular exercise. We want to
Yeah,
start
so studies have proven that if you try and do 150 minutes per week,
150 minutes.
minutes per week, the whole week, the 7 days, of moderate to intense
Intense exercise.
intense exercise. Those it's not that rigorous. It's just moderate. and a little intense. If you spend 150 minutes for the whole week, it's definitely going to help cut across, your blood pressure, your diabetes, like you mentioned. So with the 150 minutes, if you divide it by
5 days in a
5 days in the week, it means that you need 30 minutes a day. So maybe you do Monday through Friday. Every day you do 30 minutes in the morning or at night, or however it helps you. You can incorporate in your daily life, like your schedule. You do 30 minutes a day for 5 days. That's a total of 150. If that is not going to work for you, maybe the weekend you have extra time, you can do maybe an hour on Saturday, then you spread out the other minutes throughout the week. So consciously, you fit it into your schedule and you try and stay active, and the benefits is phenomenal.
It is phenomenal. The benefits are phenomenal. Come on, man. You can never go wrong with exercise. I'm telling you, there's no way you can do wrong by exercise because the benefits are huge. We got huge benefits from exercising. And so you talked about the 75 minutes too?
No, I did not.
All right, so I'm going to hit. She talked about the moderate to intense exercise, aerobic exercise, which you will need like 30 minutes if you're doing it in 5 days. So 30 minutes a day, and you are good.
For 5 days,
For
you
5
have 2
days.
days off.
You have 2 days off. Come on, man. Even when you work, you don't get 2 days off. But something that is for your life, you get 2 days off. Yeah, you get 2 days off, Monday to Friday, or however you can work it out, maybe from Saturday to whatever day. Make sure you do 30 minutes a day of intense, moderate to intense exercise, and you are good. You're going to be healthy. You're going to be able to control your blood pressure and everything else that can lead to stroke. And then, if you are somebody who is so busy like I am, and you can commit 30 minutes a day to it, and you can do 15 minutes a day, then yours is going to have to be rigorous, I should say, rigorous exercise. So yours is not going to be moderate to intense. You're going to have to run. Come on, man. You're going to have to sprint. You have to do it. It's 75 minutes per week for that. 75 total minutes for the entire week. And so if you divide it, by 5 days, you get 15 minutes a day. So you could do a treadmill run, brisk speed for 15 minutes. You go shower and you go to work every day for 5 days, and you are on point. Everything about your health is going to be on point. So it may sound like, oh, everybody's busy. It depends on where your priorities are. If staying healthy and protecting yourself from getting a stroke, heart attack, diabetes, and all those things, cancers are concerned. If you think those are more important to you, then committing 15 minutes a day, it's not huge. It's not that huge. I mean, of course, you may not be able to even do it every day, 15. 5 days, or every other day.
Every other day.
Yeah, as long as it is consistent. You do it every other day. You do it today, tomorrow you are on break, the following day you do it, the other day you do it. You take a break, just like that, and consistently do it. You don't need a gym. You don't need a big exercise machinery to do this. Just run in the neighborhood if you can afford it. You have no excuse. And let's do this and ensure that our heart is, pumping right, our brain is working fine, and our pancreas is doing its job. So we don't get all those, cardiovascular issues that we have been talking about. And one thing that I think I already mentioned is that when you do these exercises, you lower your BP. That's what the LBP stands for. And your weight is going to be managed. Your blood glucose levels are going to be on point. Your HDL, that's the good cholesterols, are going to go up. And your heart is going to be healthy. Even your skeleton, we're talking about it. Even doing exercise gives you the strength. Some people, they're always in pain. Not everybody, but I can say that if you are always in pain, arthritis pain, whatever pain, include some regular exercise. Let your muscles begin to memorize and know that those daily activities are something you are going to do all the time, and you will stop crying because they get used to it. But if you don't move, if you don't do anything, and any small thing will hurt you, and then you'll be in pain. So that's what exercise can do for you to prevent strokes.
Yeah, it help with blood flow, it help your joints, a lot of
Everything.
benefits that
Yes.
comes with it. Yeah.
A lot of benefits. All right, let's see if we have anything else. The next hack,
That's the last
hack,
one.
I think this may be the last one, so don't go yet. Come on, man. The next hack to prevent you from getting a stroke is to limit alcohol and quit smoking. Limit alcohol and quit smoking. Now, I know a lot of you don't drink. I know if I'm wrong, if you drink, just put in the chat, I drink, bro. I know a lot of you don't drink. And for that reason, limiting alcohol is not a big deal, because alcohol can increase your blood pressure, and alcohol by itself is also known to increase your ischemic strokes and your hemorrhagic strokes. So alcohol can cause your blood pressure to go up, and people who are alcoholics or people who are always drinking alcohol are, most likely going to get the ischemic strokes or the bleeding strokes, just for sure. And I want you to add anything.
So high blood pressure will cause the blockage or the breaking of the plaques, right? And that can lead to the ischemic, and it can shatter the vessels in the brain, and that's a hemorrhagic stroke. And also with the smoking, like we know that the nicotine, the nicotine in the smokes definitely affects the blood vessels, and the blood vessels are constricted, and when they are constricted they increase the blood pressure, and the blood pressure also cause all the ischemic and the hemorrhagic strokes that we are talking about, and it also increase the formation of plaques. So you introduce the nicotine into your system, it's likely that you are forming more plaques and more clots
More clots as a
in
result.
your body.
Yes.
So as the clots are formed, it's likely that it's going to move and it's going to block an artery. And if it hit the brain artery, that's where stroke happens.
That's what it's up. That's what's up. That's what's up. Now our sister is helping out here. She is saying that
Not even wine.
not even wine. Come on, man. I like that. Not even wine.
Is it a question or a statement?
Not even wine. And she follows that up. In the past, there was they said a study saying that, a glass of wine is okay here and there. But I'm also hearing conflicting views about wine. And so maybe she has also seen that. And that's why she said, not even wine. I would leave that for your own judgment. But if you have to drink wine, at least we know that don't go more than
one glass for women and two for men.
2 glasses for men. And then the reason why our sister is saying that is that alcohol kills the cilia. The cilia is probably referring to the lining of your bowels, of your intestines. There's something called cilia. We don't want to go too much into biology. And if you are drinking alcohol, they are going to be killed. Those are responsible for moving things down in your gut, and also on top of them are the absorptions that take place in your body. So yeah, that's very good there. And I don't know if we have any other point on the life for alcohol, for what do you call it? The hacks. We have talked about 5 hacks condensed.
Actually.
Now the 6th one is a bonus point.
We did already. That was the 6th one.
We haven't done that one. We've done 6 already? Oh, okay. So then we are going to do a 7 bonus point then. A 7 bonus point then. All right. So the 7th bonus point is going to be stress and atrial fibrillation, or AFib. Stress. These 2 things can also lead to stroke. If you have these, if you have stress, you have an increased risk for getting stroke. And as you can tell with our previous videos, we told you how stress can lead to high blood pressure, and how stress can lead to weight gain, and how stress can lead to a host of other things, through the release of
Cortisol.
stress hormones called cortisol and adrenaline. And so we're not going to spend more time, but we just want to be complete by saying that stress can lead to um, strokes. So if you have stress, you got to cut down on the stress level. And when we were talking about this, Gifty said most of the stress we have, it's we bring it on ourselves. What did you mean by that?
Oh, that's
We don't
yeah.
have time, right? We
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
should
Yeah,
have a
so
show about that.
sometimes some stress we bring it to ourselves because if maybe you have a project,
Mm,
you take on a project. Maybe you're trying to, enrich yourself back home if you're not from here, and you have things here too, and you cannot cope. You cannot afford whatever project you've put on yourself. It's likely that you're going to put a lot of stress on yourself. So there are certain stresses that it's not worth.
we're
Uh,
bringing on yourself,
yeah,
right?
you
Come
just
on,
have
man.
to try and cut your
Live
coat
according
according
to
to your
live within
size.
your means.
You
That's
know,
exactly what it
you
is.
don't put unnecessary stress on
Yeah,
yourself because if you're stressful, it's likely your blood
it's
pressure is going
stress.
to spike, and your blood pressure goes up. It's affecting the flow and the arteries and all that. So you don't want to put unnecessary, undue
Undue
stress
stress
on
on yourself.
yourselves.
That's what's up. Unless you're stressful, you're stressed at work, you can, find ways to mitigate the stress or find a better job or whatever, and make sure that you don't live continuously stressed. The other thing is AFib is also an irregular heartbeat. So for some people, their heartbeat, instead of just do like that, like we all know, sometimes you do boom 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 boom, and then that leads to blood being backed up in the heart. And when blood is staying still, the first thing that happens is a clot.
Clots.
And so a clot from your heart then shoots up into your brain, and then it causes stroke. In fact, it could go to your lungs, it could go to your heart,
Yeah.
and anything there can happen. Any of the attacks can happen, but for now, we're dealing with stroke. It happens a lot with strokes too. So, AFib, or if you have an irregular heartbeat, make sure you make your doctor aware so that we can be put on medication. You can treat AFib with diet or weight loss. Maybe weight loss will help, but you definitely will need to be seen and put on a prescription medication to control not only your heart rate but also to prevent you from clotting, anti-clotting agents there, so that you will not clot out and then get a
Get
stroke
stroke.
from that. All right, so I think that is pretty much all the hacks plus extra that we've given you to prevent stroke or brain attack from happening. Now let's see what we have. All right, so we are about to come to the end of the show. We also want to remind you that if you are watching, I want you to be part of our channel by becoming a member. And being a member, we have 3 tiers of membership. We have the Anansi or Spider member, which you support the channel with $2.99 a month. Come on, that's so cheap. A month, right? Depending on your income, it may not be cheap. So I got to be careful what I say. All right, so $2.99 per month, but you can do this only at our YouTube channel at Dr. Oteng, or DROTENG on YouTube. And then also you can become a Kente member. You would support the channel with $6.99 a month. That I think is very reasonable, for helping us stay with the lights on and all those other budgetary things that we have to do so that we can keep bringing the shows live. Or you can just say, you know what, I want to do $25 a month or $24.99 a month, and I'll be a royal or golden stool member of your channel. I want to contribute to it. I'm not there to sit on your shows to speak, but I'm going to help you out with any things that you need to buy for your show. I'm going to buy this for you. And all these memberships have benefits, especially the Kente and the Golden Stool or Royal membership. Those we have, we're going to have, specific shows for you, live shows where we can see you, you can see me, I can see you. We ask questions on a myriad of things that we have talked about and the things that concern your health that you have questions about. we can talk about it and help you, direct you to the right places to go for treatment if necessary. And so those are the memberships. And apart from that, you could also just be a one-time donor, a one-time supporter. If you go to Dr. Buy me a coffee, one word, slash Dr. Oteng. You could also go there. And I think we have a person donating there last week, and that was really good. I wasn't expecting that. So that was good. That was good. I think his name is Bradley. Bradley, if you are watching, we thank you. We appreciate your support in that regard. All right. So we are about to wrap up, and I think next week we are going to go in the same line with cardiovascular health. This time again on stroke, we're going to be doing foods to eat to prevent stroke and dementia. You know, there are certain foods that if you want to become brain shock, to be to protect your brain from getting the stroke itself. Today we did general, we say balanced diet, but we're going to mention specific food or food groups that you should eat so that you protect yourself from not just a stroke, but also become very sharp as you grow and make life happen for you. So that's what we're going to be doing next week, and I'm pretty sure that will be good. With that being said, I also want to say before we wrap up that we're going to start another show. And let me see, I'm going to show you in a second. We have been saying that we are doing life and health show. But if you have paid attention, in the beginning, we did a little bit of the life shows, and then we pivoted only to health. So now we're going to come up with another show, which is just about the life issues. And I'm going to show you a quick intro to that. It's going to be on a different channel because we don't want to mix that with this. So in a week, we will come 2 lives. One live with health, just like we're doing, and the other day in the week, we do another live, which will be about life issues, money and faith. Basically, that's what it is going to be, on faith and then money, how you can prosper both. We call it whole life. So I'm just going to show you that before I actually talk too much. So if you can give me a minute, I am going to show you a quick video intro, and then this week we are starting that show too. So make sure that you join and subscribe to that channel once it comes up. So watch for it. It is going to be the Whole Life channel. All right. So that's what is going to happen. And we're going to, as you saw in the intro video, we're going to be talking about faith and money. So we'll come up with a few points of, faith, life issues, I should say. And then within the same show, we transition into money. Because remember, our whole premise of doing this is in 3 John 3, 3 John 2. It says that, dear friend, we wish above all things that you prosper and be healthy, even as your soul is prospering. So we believe that if we give you health information and we don't tell you some of the things to do to also make, faith, no, we are probably not giving you enough. And then also, we also want to make sure that we also hint you at some of the things that can make you prosper financially, I should say. So we're going to merge all those 3 and be providing you with information on all 3 of them, but on a separate channel. So this channel is just going to be just health, and then the other channel, which is called Whole Life channel. So you can go to YouTube right now. There's no video yet. I think there are a couple of videos. Just type at Whole Life channel, at Whole Life, and then subscribe. Or if you are not sure, you can wait until our first video shows up on Facebook and wherever else you watch us. We'll probably put a first video everywhere so that everybody can also subscribe there. We can share it on the other platform. So with that being said, we are closing. And what do we say again?
Beloved, we wish above all things that you prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospers.
Thanks for joining and
Thank
sharing
you.
and communicating and like and share and everything. See you in another video. God bless.